Y'all, it is almost the end of the year, and one of the craziest things that happened this year, of course, was Wizard101's insane launch on console. But today, I wanted to talk about all the things that I think Wiz should do in 2026 for console to make this upcoming year even bigger. In making this video, I wanted to make the suggestions a little bit realistic, more doable, and I really think if Wiz does these things, it's gonna make Wiz on console even more successful in 2026. Starting right off, and in my opinion, this is the big thing holding back console right now. It is the fact that it's insanely hard to communicate, and that's because they don't have text chat on console. If y'all don't know, if you're logging into Wiz on console, the only way to properly communicate is with menu chat, as in the preset things that we've had in this game for all people that have, that don't have access to open chat or text chat. Now, I'm gonna speak from experience on this one. This actually is not enough to actually get the full, experience of the game. If y'all don't know, I was one of the probably very, very few people that didn't lie about their age when signing on for the game. That's a big regret. But I actually used this until I turned 13 when my text chat or whatever it was unlocked. And here's the thing about this. There are some presets that are actually pretty good. For example, let's say you're in team up, you're going against a cheating boss, and someone casts something that the cheating boss actually counters. You could actually say things like, oh, I got the boss. Oh, don't attack the boss. You could even say some things as specifically as don't use that spell, you'll activate a boss cheat. I'm not gonna lie, as far as presets go, this isn't terrible. However, other than the battle strategy one, it's very, very hard to actually communicate with people if you actually want to organically do something. Let's say that you want to hit up someone to farm something, right? How in the world are you supposed to do that? You go to activities, and let's say you want to, farm spellments, you could go to here, but there isn't really a way to set up, yo, can you want to farm this with me? Do you have gold keys that you want to farm with me for? Right? Even setting up team things like Beast Moon or whatever you might actually want to do as someone with menu chat, very, very hard to do it. And let's be real, most people aren't really paying attention to a bunch of presets in the menu chat. I feel like it's very, very hard to catch someone's attention, set up something, really get involved in the community with only these presets. And here's the thing, I think Wiz on console specifically runs into this issue where even if you added text chat, it would probably be very hard with a controller to actually type out what you want like you would on mouse and keyboard. And I think really there are two solutions to this. One solution that I really, really hope that they consider, I hope that they add some sort of keyboard where you can type your own preset messages so that they could approve them, and then you could basically customize your preset. This is gonna be a crazy example, but if y'all don't know, right, way back in the day, before I even played Wiz, I used to play Toontown, and Toontown's gone now, but there's a new game called Toontown Rewritten, and they do this really, really cool thing where, yes, you could type a preset name for your tune, or you can actually type a custom name. It takes a little bit, and they actually verify it and clear it. So sometimes you could actually, in a game meant for kids, actually put custom things into the game, right? Custom messages, custom names. I feel like Wiz needs to do that type of thing for actual messaging, because otherwise the only real way on Xbox or PlayStation and the Switch when it eventually goes there to communicate is either with really, really bad presets, or you gotta go out of your way to invite someone through some kind of third-party voice chat feature. And I'm sure some people have done that, right? They've met people on Wiz. There's some way, I'm sure, to access their gamer tag, and they find a way to communicate through Discord or some other voice chat. But in my opinion, that kind of goes against what Wiz has always been about, right? Everything that you need for this game has always been on this game. Yes, I grew up on this game talking in Skype and then moving on to Discord, sure. But it was never hard for me to make friends and connections on this game and needing to use something else outside of it, if that makes sense. All I needed was the game. I feel like console should try to continue that. So what I would love to see are presets that you could actually type as an added keyboard. Obviously, the first time you make the preset, you're gonna have to go through all the trouble of, I'm sure y'all have typed on a console with a controller. It is terrible, but at least you can do it once, and maybe you could just have a pre-approved preset so you can ask people to do things that are more specific, that are still within the terms of service and all of that. That would be great, but I think the other solution that they could consider, which honestly goes to my second point of what I'd love to see in 2026, is just add mouse and keyboard support. Now, we do have some pretty, direct confirmation from the devs that they are working on controller support for Wiz on PC, meaning you could get a controller, right? Plug it into your PC, and then you could actually play Wiz on PC with your PC characters, but with the controller. That seems to be pretty confirmed. We don't know when that's gonna happen, but I really hope that also means that they can add mouse and keyboard support to console. You might think that destroys the whole point of it, but there's a lot of ways to play on controller for most of the time, and then when there's actual real communication that needs to happen, it'd be nice if you could switch to a mouse and keyboard, which a lot of people have a setup that lets them do stuff like this and communicate a little bit more freely. I think that would fix this little text chat situation, but it would also do something else that I think is really, really important, which is just bridge the divide between the two communities. These days, anytime I make a video on something that's only on PC, people on console are like, yo, like, what in the world? What is this? Why don't I have it? And the other thing I've noticed is that whenever there's like a weird issue with the servers, there's always like somebody saying, oh, it's the other server's fault. Like, there will be console people blaming PC servers or PC people blaming console servers. I think a lot of the reasoning for that divide is that it genuinely feels like two different experiences right now. And I really think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you can't really plug your controller into your PC to play on Wiz on PC. You can't put a mouse and keyboard into your console and play mouse and keyboard on console servers. A lot of other games have that. I think Wiz should really, really prioritize that very, very soon, so that at least it doesn't really feel like it's two different species of people playing two different games. And that brings us to my final point. My final thing that I really think is important that they get down in 2026. In the most recent CAD Live, they said there's a pipeline issue where they have to basically do an update, have it basically confirmed for their test servers, and then they move it to EU servers, and then they move it over to console. That is right. That is like 4 to 5 stages that they have to go through before an update from, I guess, King's Isle headquarters reaches the ability to reach console server. And I think that's really, really bad, because right now, if y'all don't know, console is behind several updates. I think that's the other factor that really makes it feel like you're playing a different game, even though it's been very, very successful regardless of that. Right now, console servers still have not received the Aquila update. What does that mean? They don't have the level 180 Darkmoor update. They don't have all of the Aquila stuff, which, by the way, comes with some really, really cool updates. Really iconic spells that I feel like a lot of people think they actually thought that this was like the highlight of the Aquila update. They're missing challenge modes from Aquila. They're missing atavistic gear, which was a big deal at level 60, and considering everyone playing on consoles, playing on a fresh slate, missing an entire piece of level 60 gear, kind of crazy. I think whatever this pipeline is that's preventing Wiz from updating console really side by side with PC, I think they need to resolve it. I don't think we'll ever get into a scenario where like a new level cap increasing world like Darkmoor drops and PC and console get it on the same day. But they really did make it seem like they were doing their little console release ahead of the Darkmoor update on purpose, and the insinuation there to me was that, oh, that means Darkmoor's coming to console soon. What I really, really hope doesn't happen is I don't want console to feel like EU servers or worse in this scenario. There's been a lot of complaints from people that don't play on North American servers that they're behind way too many updates for them to feel like they're experiencing the game. I'll be real with y'all, I actually think Darkmoor is really fun for the questing element and the ambiance and all of that. Right, this is a super scenic world, very, very well made. I would argue, however, that console isn't missing out on too much by having to wait for this update, because in terms of game-changing mechanics, right, all they've really done is update shadow magic really at face value. And I'm not saying that's a small change, but the shadow magic mechanic applies across several levels. It's not just you have to be level 180, you have to max out to experience all of it. This is something, yes, to get the full extent of it, yes, you have to be level 180 because there's shadow fusions that you can only get way late into the game. But really, by console having to wait, they're not waiting for a level, being level 180 and being way more powerful. They're really waiting on Darkmoor as a world, as an experience, and also maybe the shadow magic mechanic getting a change. That's not something that fundamentally changes the experience. I'll say this though, let's say that this had been a few years back and like Archmastery had dropped with Novus for PC and console didn't get it. That, in my opinion, would have been a very, very big deal, right? That is a mechanic that really, really changes things, that applies to literally new spells that just got introduced at max level, right? The second you have an update like that, it's going to make people that play on console feel very, very left out. And I genuinely think that could happen literally as soon as next update, right? It doesn't even have to be a world update for that to be the case. Like, they could just introduce anything, a new mechanic that really makes the game fun to play, and then you have an entire server behind on that update. I think that's no bueno. Definitely something they need to prioritize. If in 2026, We have better ways to communicate in-game on console, have controller and mouse and keyboard support on these various platforms, and also have console catch up. I don't see a scenario, a world, any sort of thing where Wiz doesn't pop off on console in the new year. But that's just my wish list. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on how y'all would improve Wiz on console so it stays even more exciting in 2026. Let me know. Of course, this is a video that if you're someone who's played on console, I've barely played. I got a PlayStation, have barely set up anything. There will be content incoming. I know I've been saying it. There's a lot of stuff I've been working on behind the scenes, so turn on noties. Stay tuned for that. As always, y'all, I look forward to reading your comments, and if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.